You can't go on education social media without hearing about relationships. Relationships first. It's all about relationships. But how do we build these relationships? And what do the folks on social media sometimes get a little bit twisted? I'm Julie Hasson, professor, researcher, and resilience trainer. And in this video, I'm going to tell you the truth about student-teacher relationships. There's decades of research on the power of strong student-teacher relationships. Strong relationships are a lever for better social, emotional, and academic outcomes for our students. And strong relationships are also good for us. It's what brings us the joy and satisfaction and meaning in our work. And strong relationships are built on two things: trust and connection. Now, before we trust someone, we have to know them. So we've got to give our students opportunities to know us as teachers and as people. Students are dying to know a little bit about you as a person. Do you have any kids? Do you have any pets? What are their names? Do you play pickleball? Are you any good at pickleball? Find ways to bring a little bit of personal information into your lessons. Your students will love it, and it will also give you an opportunity to get to know them, to ask them some questions. Because once we have this familiarity, this knowing, we can focus on building trust. Researchers Shannon, Moran, and Hoy have studied how to build stronger trust in schools, and they've identified 5 components. The first is benevolence. Benevolence just means we have someone's best interest at heart. In the words of our students, we have their backs. And even if they don't like a decision that we've made or aren't excited about something they have to do, if they know it's in their best interest, if we know it's because we really care about them and their growth, they can accept it and they can learn to trust us. The next component is transparency. When we give students the rationale for the decisions we've made, when we tell them the why of what we're asking them to do, then they learn to trust us. When they feel like nothing is hidden, we're out in the open, we're talking with them about the decisions we made, that's a big trust builder. The next component is competence. Our students trust us when they believe that we're competent to teach them, that we're competent to manage the classroom, that we're competent to guide them as they learn and grow with us in our class. The next component is reliability. We think about reliability as doing what we say we're going to do or following through. That's true, but reliability is also responding in an even, predictable way. Whatever goes down in the classroom, students want to be able to predict how we're going to respond. And when we respond in an even, calm tone, that builds trust. And that's especially important for our students who have experienced trauma. The 5th component is honesty. Our students want to know that no matter what, we're telling them the truth. We're not hiding anything, we're not sugarcoating anything, we're telling them the truth. Now, we're telling them the truth with kindness and compassion and benevolence, but we're telling them the truth. That's a trust builder. Speaking of honesty and hard conversations, I had the chance to talk to a middle school class about teachers and teacher impact. Now, if we've known each other for a while, you know that I love to go out to schools and talk to teachers about the impact they make. I love to share stories people have shared with me about the way teachers have made a lasting impact on their lives. But even more than that, I love to go out to schools and talk to students about teacher impact. And not too long ago, I had the opportunity to go to a middle school and talk to a class of 7th graders about what teachers do and the kind of impact teachers make on people's lives. I could not take my eyes off this one young man in front of me. I don't think his seat ever touched the seat of the chair. He was up on one leg and spinning around, and he was really busy. And when I finished presenting, I asked, does anyone want to tell me about an impactful teacher in your life? And of course, he was the first one to raise his hand. He was practically bouncing. He needed to tell me about his 6th grade teacher, Miss Nichols. He said, in 6th grade, I had a really hard time in most of my classes. I couldn't sit still, and I also had a hard time making friends. And Miss Nichols asked me to stay after her language arts class one day, and she said, Caden, I love that you're extra, but sometimes you're a little extra. And I'm wondering if maybe you're not letting people see the real you. Maybe if you quit trying so hard and you were just yourself, people would see you the way I see you, and they would really like you. And he said he so appreciated that conversation, and it really made him think. And he tried from that point on, especially in Miss Nichols' class, to be more himself, to stop showing off and to really be who he was. And he started to make friends. And when Caden finished telling me that story, one of the other kids in the middle school class said, "Oh, Caden, didn't that hurt your feelings?" And I will never forget his response. He said, "Nah, man. Teachers don't tell you stuff like that unless they care about you." What a great representation of the power of honesty and a hard conversation. Our students need us to tell them the truth with kindness and compassion, but still the truth. So honesty is really important in a relationship, but there's something that's kryptonite to a strong relationship: judgment. No one likes to be judged. When students feel like we're coming at them with judgment instead of compassion, they'll pull away. That really can damage a relationship. I think sometimes we compare our 30-year-old, 40-year-old, 50-year-old wisdom to their 12-year-old, 15-year-old, or 18-year-old wisdom. And we look at them with judgment. Instead, if we can think about what we were like at that age, and we can try to come from a place of curiosity and an understanding that everybody, whatever age, has strengths and needs, has weaknesses and gifts, and everybody's doing the best they can. If we can really approach our students with compassion instead of judgment, that can strengthen our relationships. While we're focusing on building trust, we also need to focus on connecting with our students. John Gottman is a psychologist who studies strong relationships, and he says connection is the key. People are always giving us signals that they want to connect. And when we respond to those signals in a caring, affirming way, we build the connections that build strong relationships. When we help a young student tie his or her shoes, when we help an older student like Caden figure out how to navigate that difficult social landscape, when we provide the support that helps our students succeed academically, when we just notice when they're having a bad day and let them know we care and offer some help and support, we build connections that build strong relationships. So you may be wondering, okay, what are people getting twisted about student-teacher relationships? Here's the message that I think is a little twisted and probably harmful to us as teachers. We get this message that if a student is struggling, whether that's academically or socially or emotionally, that we just need to try harder to build a strong relationship. And they forget that relationships are a two-way street. Both people have to be intentional and invested in building a strong relationship. And sometimes students just don't want to engage in a relationship with us. Could be for any number of reasons. I might look like Aunt Sally, and maybe that student just doesn't like Aunt Sally. Maybe that student had some negative school experiences years before they got into my class and they just don't trust teachers. Maybe there's something else going on in that student's life, and as hard as I try, I can't build that strong relationship. That's okay. I hope you'll understand that it's not completely up to you. But if you are intentional about connecting and building trust, pushing aside judgment, and coming at that student with compassion and care, you will make a difference. That's all you can do. And while you are extending compassion and care to a student, I hope you will extend that same compassion and care to yourself. All you can do is be intentional. All you can do is extend some compassion and care and grace. I hope these truths about student-teacher relationships was helpful. I hope you'll spend a little time working on building those relationships, but also a little time taking care of you so that you can stay longer, grow stronger, and keep making ripples.